Welcome students. Let's get started with connecting Python with MySql CRUD operations. So far what we have learned is creating a database, and I hope you all have configured your MySql and you all have installed this version of MySql, right, using XAMPP. So the first thing that we have learned, and the first thing that we are going to learn in fact today, is the following, right? So let me start writing SQL. What is SQL? SQL stands for structured, right, query, right, language. Right, and query means to ask the database and the database responds back, right, asking the database and getting the response back. And as I said, a database, right, is basically, I have already given you the definition, right, is basically something where we keep all the information, all the data in. And database comprises of tables. You can create as many tables as you want, and table has rows and columns, right? Now, how do you create a database? Now, let's get started with this structured query language today. We create database by writing create database. For example, we have created this Python test the last time. So create database Python test. So I will say SQL create database Python test. And it says cannot create database because the database already exists. In my case, Python test has already been created. Now we have to create tables. For example, for login system and for register system, let's create a table, and call it users. And we create table by writing create statement, right? I repeat, by writing create statement. So I'll say create table, and now what do you require? You need to give the name of the table. I repeat, we need to give the name of the table, right? So we call this as users, right? Now, what do you have inside tables? If I say, or having said that the table contains, rows and columns, right? So we'll have to understand rows and columns here, right? So I will say now create table user. So I'll open the brace and close the brace. These are parentheses normal, right? So this is creatable users, right? And now what do you want to create? What columns and what rows do you want? Rows are going to come automatically, but what columns do you want? What are the attributes of the table that you want, right? So first thing that I will say, the first attribute that I want of table is ID, right? And I will say this is going to be my ID attribute. And what is ID going to be? It's going to be VARCHAR. What is VARCHAR? Varying character, right? But in our case, ID is not going to be, or let's say user ID. User ID is not going to be VARCHAR, it's going to be int, as simple as anything, right? So we are creating a table users, right? And the first column is going to be user ID, and the data type of user ID is going to be int. That means this user ID column will not take character type and string type rows. It's only going to be int. The user ID can be 1 and then 2, then 3, right? So we expect int to be here. So it is basically the function of the database, right? And it's basically what you call that, that it's the requirement, it's a must in database query language or structured query language to specify the type of the column or type of the attribute that you are creating. So first attribute is user ID. Second, I will say, hey, I will take f name, which is going to be first name, and I will say this is now going to be varying character. So I'll say varchar, and what is the length that you want to allocate for this first name? I'll say, oh, first name cannot be more than 20. If I write FAHIM, first name FAHIM, how many characters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. So I have allocated 20. So 20 is more than sufficient. Even if I keep it 15, so 15 is sufficient, right? So this is what we are allocating for the first name, right? So we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6. Right, so now 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15. So this is how long your first name is accepted by the database. We should not waste the memory of the database, right? Once we are hosting anything online, so they're going to give us limited amount of resources. They're going to give us limited amount of space. We'll have to utilize the limited amount of space given by the hosting provider. So that's why, right, L name, I'll keep L name as in last name, varying character. Now what is this? A, it's a single character. What is B? Single character. What is C? Single character. What is a collection of A, B and C? It's a string. But in database programming, it's a varying character. So I'll say again 15. What is string in programming is varchar in database programming, right? I hope it's understood by you guys. Alright, so now first name is there, last name is there, user ID is there. So I'll say I require username, right? So let me indent it properly so that you understand what is happening right here. You can hit tab. Okay, we require username. So VARCHAR, varchar, let's say 20. varchar 20, right? And we require, let's say about password. And the password is going to be varchar 20, right? And what else is required? Let's say about, I will say email. Email is again going to be varchar, let's say about, email can be a bit long, so let's give 40, right? And contact can be varchar, right? So it can be varchar, contact can be varchar 16, so I'll keep it 16, VARCHAR, varchar 16. And date, when are you registering? So we will say the type here is date, right? So the type for the date is going to be date, right? The type for contact is going to be string, which is varchar, and user ID is going to be int. And address, so expect address to be very long, so let me keep it text. So you're going to accept the data type here for address is going to be text. The data type for date is actually going to be date, right? And others are going to be string, which is varchar in database query language. And user ID is going to be int, and that's sufficient, right? So this is how we create a table, right? So let me create this table right here, right? And comma, I had actually forgotten comma, right? So let me use this here. I had forgotten, I used comma, and you cannot use comma in the last line because this is the last line, right? And last line is actually terminated, right? So now we'll say database selected is Python test. You can clearly see here, and this table users is going to be created inside the database Python test. So let's say go. Now you can clearly see, right, that the table has successfully been created. Green means success. If there's any error, you will see that. You can clearly see here, right, Python test has a table, users, clearly see this, right? And if you go to the structure of users, you can clearly see user ID is the first column, first name, last name, username, password, email, contact, date, and address. So we can insert now, right? Or you can run another SQL. Now how do you insert, right? So now this is the table, right? And this is how we insert into the database. We don't insert data into the database within the database. We insert it from, maybe it's a website you're taking registration from, right? And this database is going to be filled, or this user table is going to be updated from a registration form and something like that, right? So that we will see in the near future. But today we will see how to write an insert query. Now we have created it. Now we will insert data into the database. So for that I will say insert, right, into. Now this insert into will take table name. What's the name of the table? I'll say users. Insert into users, and where you want to enter? Where do you want to insert? So I'll say insert into these values. First user ID, right? F name, right? L name. So insert user ID, first name, last name, username, password, email, right contact, right contact, date, address, right? Insert into these, right? And I will say values, values. Insert into the user ID, first name, last name, username, password, email, contact, date, and date I'll keep small here, so they need not to be capital, right? Values. Now what do you want to insert? The first, it will go, whatever you want to insert as varchar, right, will go inside single quotes and others will go without quotes. So I'll say 1. Where this 1 goes? Where will this go? This 1 will go to the user ID. And what is the type of user ID? It is int. That's why I did not use single quotes. Now because fname is varchar, I will use single quotes. So I'll say FAHIM, right? And I can say now the last name is varchar, so I will use single quotes. For example, I'll have to choose my username, so I'll choose my username, right? And I have to choose my password, so I will choose my password. And I have to choose my email, fhm@gmail.com, right? I can choose these things as simple as anything. All right, so let me just give them. Okay, now you can clearly see here, insert into these values. 1 goes to user ID, right? Fahim goes to fname, Khan goes to, it's serially, right? Whatever is first here is first here, all right? And password, and then we had username, first name, last name, user ID, first name, last name, username, password, email, and after email we have contact. It's again varchar, so I'll say 90864412334, and then I have date, right? So date is going to be a proper formatted date, so I'll have to insert. So inside these quotes I will insert, today is 12, right? 12 June 2020. So I'll see how do you enter it. So June is 6, it is MD12, right? And I will say 2020, right? So this is how you enter date in MySql. After entering the date, you have to enter address. And address ka type हमारे पास we text है, right? So I will say NIIT enclave, right? NIIT Residency Road, right? Regal Lane. So I'll see. Okay, Srinagar, Kashmir, right? So I have tried entering everything. I will close down this brace right here. So let's copy this and see how we can insert the query, right? If there is any error, we'll get it for sure. I'll copy, paste, selected table is users, insert into user values. So I'll say go. Now everything is absolutely perfectly entered. Now go to table users. You can clearly see the first record in the table is inserted, right? You can clearly see 1, Fahim, Khan, and every single thing. But date is not inserted properly, my God. So date is having date is having some kind of problem. Now, how do you delete data from the database? We can say truncate, right? So this is insert. So I'll say TRUNCAT, truncate table and table name. So right, we can say truncate table users. Truncate is going to reset the ID and delete every single thing. I'll say truncate. Now you can go to the users table and you will find nothing actually there, right? Okay, so it's been truncated, so we have problem with date. So let me first see what is the procedure for entering dates. Yeah, it's dash, it's year, month and date. So for example, today is 12. Yeah, it is going to be something like this. Okay, let's go back to users table. Now, how do you insert date? First we are going to have dd year, that is 2020, then dash, then month, right? It is 12, and then the month, that is 6. I suppose it's right. So let me try again, just to see. Yeah, year, month and date is how we are going to use, right? So year, month is 6 and date is 12, right? So this is how we can enter this, right? So let me copy this again, right? And go to SQL and run it. Successful. Go back to users table, browse. You can clearly see now date has been entered, address has been entered, and the first record has been successfully entered. Now you need not to get confused. The query is very simple. I will write it down here. Insert, right, into, right, and here what do we have to say? I'll write it down. Table name. So here insert into के बाद we'll have to follow the table name. Where do you want to insert? And columns, values, right? And here what do you insert? Data. Now this is very simple insert query, right? For example, if you have only one column, you will say insert into users, column name, L name, values, and then data, right? Whatever you want to enter. So let me show you once again. For example, now we have a problem right here. And the problem is if I try and re-enter this, right? If I try and re-enter this, so I will have the same record in the database. Right, so now you can see I am having duplicate records in the database. That means now my database is truncated. I cannot query the database since the database contains duplicate records, right? And you can clearly see here the ID is again 1, ID is 1. So this is truncated policy, so it's not going to work, right? So I'll say note, always make sure that the user ID column is auto increment. Always make sure that the user ID column is auto increment. What is auto increment? That you don't have to give it. When the first user comes, it gives the first user 1. When the second user comes, it gives the second user 2, and so on and so forth, right? So that's what. And, right, it has to be, right, primary key, right? So you'll have to make sure of these things that, right, there must be a key that uniquely, right, or you can say uniquely identifies the entire row, right? So you'll have to, because there are few rules that we have to follow, right, in database programming. So first thing is that there has to be a row that there has to be a key, right, that uniquely identifies, right, that uniquely identifies the entire row. What do you mean? What do you mean by key that uniquely identifies the entire row? For example, if I make user ID as a primary key, if I say user 1, right, 1, right, identifies the entire row here, right? If it's 2, it identifies the entire row. If I say who is 1, 1 is Fahim. Who is 2, 2 is some other user, right? So first let me apply it and then you will understand. You're going to understand 40, 50, 60, 70% maximum in the first class, and then 70, 80% in the second or third class, and then in the fourth or fifth class you're going to understand 100%. So please be patient, You need not to worry about this thing because this is something that you're starting new. But yeah, you'll have to be very sure of these things, that without a database, software may not exist. No software can exist, has existed, will exist without a database. So you'll have to make sure that we are learning the database technology as well. So we're not going to go through each and everything related to the database because it's going to take ages then, right? So we are going to make sure we do essentials of what is required to learn database at this moment in time, and whatever is essential for Python and database programming, right? So that's why it's basically computers are never easy, right? Because you have to learn quite many things. But yeah, they take time, but once they take time, you get familiar with each and everything, that you don't require any teacher and instructor afterwards, right? But yeah, that is the only thing that learning is not going to give you anything right here, right? Practicing is going to make you perfect, right? So let me show. It's very easy, right? It may seem pretty complicated or maybe hectic at this moment in time, but yeah, trust me, it's very easy, right? It's pretty easy. All right, so we'll have to make sure that there must be a column which is auto increment. Now we can see, I'll show you how to create that auto increment. First, let me go to Python test and let me delete the entire table. So I'll say drop. So I'm dropping this, right? Now let me go and write SQL again, but this time I'm going to write a different SQL query. Now what is the different SQL query this time I'm going to make? Let's go to create table. We are creating user ID as an int. I want this to be auto increment. Auto increment means, and I want this to uniquely identify the entire row. So auto increment has to be a primary key, right? Primary key again that uniquely identifies the entire row. Unique means that if Fahim gets one ID, right, second user is not going to get one. He's going to get something different. Every user will have a user ID that is unique. For example, if you go to your school, you enter your classroom and you have a roll number. Does anyone else have the same roll number? No, no one else has the same roll number that's been given to you, right? So you have, they may have some different roll numbers, right? What is roll number? Roll number is something that uniquely identifies you in the entire classroom. That's what user ID is. That uniquely identifies the user inside a database table, right? Okay, let's carry on. I am making this user ID as an int, but yeah, please make it auto. So this is the keyword for auto increment, auto underscore auto increment, INCREMENT, and auto increment has always to be a primary. It has to be a primary key. PRIMARY, primary key. So now this will uniquely identify the entire row, and this is going to automatically increase, right? It's going to increase it automatically, right? For example, if the first user gets 1, the second user will automatically get 2, right? Okay, right. Fine. The second thing that we have to make sure is the index. I do not want duplicate emails to be entered. I do not want duplicate contact numbers to be entered, right? And for that, we are going to add a key, which is known as unique key, right? So what is unique? Unique means it's not duplicate, right? So once I say it's not duplicate, what do I mean? That means database table is not going to allow me, right, to enter something that's already, right, there, right? So for example, if I have entered phone number as 9419 something, so if someone tries and comes, right, and tries and enter the same phone number, so it's going to show the warning that you cannot enter this phone number because it's already there, it already exists, right? So that's what the unique key means. So you know that if you go and search for the username, for example, you have to sign up to Google, you are registering with Google, Gmail, or maybe FB, Twitter. Why do you search for a username? Why don't you get the username that's already been taken? So there's going to be database redundancy if they give you the same username that's already existing, right? So it's going to cause havoc in the database programming I mean, who will log in then, right? So that's basically the case. Yeah, name, first name, name can be same, username, password can be same, but yeah, username cannot be duplicate, email cannot be duplicate, and contact cannot be duplicate, right? So what I do right here, I will create this username column as UNIQUE, unique, and I will create email as unique, and I will also create contact as unique, UNIQUE, right? So this is where I am creating this as unique. So let's create now three things we have added: auto increment to user ID and primary key. It's going to uniquely identify the entire row, and username is unique, email is unique, and contact is always unique. So let me copy this. Right, go to my PHP myadmin, select the database Python test, right, go to SQL, and type it, paste it, and run it. Now you can clearly see the database has already been created. Now you can see golden key here. Golden key means it's a primary key. I again repeat, primary key is something that uniquely identifies the entire row. The username is unique, you cannot enter duplicate usernames. Email is unique, email cannot be duplicated, and contact is unique, cannot be duplicated. Now let's try and enter data. Now what I do right here, I will make few changes. I will not enter user ID. I'll take this user ID column and I'll enter it as null. Null means nothing, right? Because it is auto increment. Why should I give it 1, 2, 3? I want it to be automatically incremented. Why do I need to give then 1, 2, 3, right? And now that's it. I'll take this, go to SQL, right? Select the table users, go to SQL and paste it, right? And carry on. Now you go to the browse. Now you can see a different thing right here. User ID is already 1. Automatically 1 user ID is given. Why? Because we didn't give anything. We give null to user ID. Now you can see serially, user ID will take this, F name will take this, L name will take this serially, right? But yeah, we haven't given user ID because it's already been taken, because what we have done, we designed it as auto increment and a primary key. That's why it's automatically given. Now you can clearly see it's a different structure of a database once you have a primary key. Let's try and enter the same data again, right? Let's see the warning we are getting. Now you can see we're getting a warning here. Duplicate entry, Fahim Khan for key username. I cannot enter Fahim Khan as a username because it's already existing, right? You can clearly see right here. So I'll say, okay, wait a second. If you already exist, so I will just try and make an IIT Srinagar as a key or as a username. Username has been changed. So let me go and run. Now you can clearly see, no, Fahim Khan at gmail.com is already existing for the key, email. So I'll say, I'll change it, right? Fahim at, instead of gmail.com, I'll say niit.com. I'll just run it again. Now third unique key will come into the picture. Duplicate entry for the key contact. Yeah, now all the unique keys have been actually measured, right? And they have been dealt with. Now let's go ahead and say go, data has been inserted. Now what have we learned so far? You can see first name, last name can be same, but username is quite different here so that they can log in as different usernames. Password can be same, but email is different and contact is different. So these are the three things that we can never take, duplicate. So we cannot allow duplicacy right here. So that's why we are adding an index. We call this as adding an index. And what is the type of index we have added? We have added an index of type unique. All right, and you can clearly see this has got 5, right? Automatically, right? Because it's auto increment, so right. Auto increment means each and every user is going to get it automatically. Let's go to SQL and try and run the query again. All right, let's enter some data. All right, so I'll enter something else. So I will enter right, I will enter, let's say MISBAH, Misbah Khan, and MISBAHKHAN is the username, right? Misbah, MISBH. Misbah is a G as email ID. 9999999. It's an email, and date is, let's say about, I am going to enter some different date as 13, and address is same, so let's run it. Right, data inserted. So you can see one row has been inserted. You can clearly see rows and columns. What are columns? These are attribute names, and as long as users start coming, so they'll start coming, and user will automatically get 1, then get 2, get 3. Why didn't we get 2, 3, 4 here? Because we deleted them manually, right? So you can clearly see here, okay, it's getting 5, it's getting 6, right? So this is what is expected, right? And now you are filling your database. This is the same database Facebook is using, right? And this is how you register your username. So the only problem is that what we have to understand, that we need to register the username from the front end now. Instead of registering user using SQL right here, we will try and go to Python and start registering user, right? From the back end. And now the second thing that we need to understand is, let me see the timing. So we still have good amount of time left, right? And what we have to understand, another thing is basically, for example, if we have already made the table, right? If we want to alter it, right? For example, let me delete this table. Right, so let me go ahead and drop the table. Now, how do you drop the table? So I'll show you query to drop the table, right? And the query to drop the table is drop the table, and the query to drop the table is following. Right, so let me indent this as well so that you understand it pretty well. Right, so how do you indent? Insert into users, and then this is values. So just I'll keep it like this, and I'll keep it like this, a single space, and it is values, right? And this is insert into user, and these are the name of columns, and these are the values that we are inserting, right? Truncatable users, right, will delete everything in the table and will reset the count, right? For example, it's also going to reset the auto incremented ID. It's again, when you truncate, it's again going to start from 1. So drop the table will completely delete the table from the database. So drop table will completely delete the table from the database. Now what is the syntax? How do you write it? So I'll say drop table and table name. All right, so drop table name. So let's see this. So I'll go to query, and I'll say drop table, and the table name is, all right, so we'll say, for example, drop table user. So I'm going to drop this table users, right? Now the table will be dropped from the database. You can clearly see, if I go to Python test, you can clearly see it has no tables at all. So I'll go to SQL and start creating a table. But this time, let's say I forgot this unique. I forgot to add unique. All right. So let me just carry on. All right. And I forgot to end. Okay, let's say I forgot something. Right. So I forgot to add unique indexes to the keys. I will run it. Exactly, comma is forgotten. All right, so I'll run it. Now I have a table. Now you clearly see you have a table in front of you, and the table is users. Go to the structure and you can see there's no unique cluster or there's no unique key added. So what I do right here, I will add a unique key. To add a unique key, you have to alter the table, right? So alter table. So now how do you alter table? You'll type a command alter. You'll say alter table and table name. For example, right, it is going to be alter table. What is the name of the table? Users. Now, what do? I type alter table users and I have to add, right? What do you add? Right? I have to add unique. So the alter table users add unique. Unique. Where do you want to add unique? The column name. I want to make, let's go to the structure. I want to make username as a unique key, right? So I'd say add unique and the column name, that is username. So let's alter the table. Let's type the command and alter the table. For example, if you forgot, it's in case you forgot, you don't have to delete the table. Now you can clearly see alter table users add unique on username. If I go to the structure now, username has been made unique. Now if I do it again, I'll say add to email and a cluster. You can add it to contact as well. So I'm adding unique key to email and also to contact. I said comma. Now you can see both of them are marked unique. Contact is marked unique, email is marked unique, and username is marked unique. Now if you want to drop, for example, I will go and add galati se, right? Add unique on f name. Now, right? If I go to structure now, you can clearly see that f name is also being marked as unique, right? So f name has also been marked as unique. So I can do drop the index, right? So I can run this command right here, right? So I can say drop index and the name of the index, right? So I want to drop the index right here. So I'll say alter table users and I can say alter users and please drop the index, right? And the index on f name. So I'm dropping the index on f name. So all the indexes will be dropped on the f name column, right? Okay, so I'll say drop index on f name. That's it. This is how we write, right? So we have by mistake added unique index to f name, so which is not possible. First name can be same, right? So alter table users drop, I can say, you'll have to drop the index, right? I can say the following: drop index on, that is unique. So I'll say drop unique on the key. What is the key? The key is f name. So we're dropping the unique index on f name here using MySql. But we found some errors, right? So wait a second. Someone has come. I'll have to pause it for a second. All right, let's resume. So now what we had to do, we had to drop this index. So I'll write it down. Let me just write it down on the notepad so that you can actually see this, right? So this here, alter table users drop index on f name. The index that you have created, right? Unique cluster index or unique key index, you're dropping it on first name. So let's run it. Do you want to really execute alter table? Yeah, I'll say yes, I want to execute. And now go to the structure and you can see that we have dropped the index unique on f name, right? And this is how we can even drop the index. You can add the index, you can drop the index, right? and you can do many different things, right? Inclusive of, let's say, about signed and unsigned. We have many different things, right, that you are going to learn not today, but in concurrent classes, right? So let me be very candid with you guys. What we have been able to achieve so far is that we have been able to create a table users, and we have been able to create a database, and inside database we have been able to create a table users. Not only create, we have been able to see what auto increment does, what unique keys mean, and what is a primary key. What primary key is? So I'll just share this file with you guys. So primary key is basically a key that uniquely identifies the entire row, right? So let me just insert the values again, and the duplicate values are still not supported, right? All right, so now the row has been inserted, right? So let's try and register 2 or 3 students, then we can learn the select command. So I will say NAVED, Naveed, but has been registered. His username is Naveed But, his password is password, and his email ID is naveed@gmail.com, and his phone number is 99065778889. And the date he is trying to register is here. So let's treat this as DOB. We can treat it as DOB, and the address is same, right? Okay, now you can go to the structure and browse. There are 2 rows now inserted, so I'll try and enter the 3rd row, because we have to query the data. Query means we have to ask it back, we have to retrieve it back from the database table, right? So let's go and say, we'll say the 3rd name is going to be, Shahid Khan, and his username is going to be Shahid Khan, and the email ID is going to be shahid@gmail.com, and his phone number is going to be something like this, and he has registered on 14th of this month, right? So address remains same. So we've been able to enter 3 columns, so let me try and enter 1, right? Okay. We'll try and enter 1 more right here, and we'll try and see what we can do, right? So I will say, right, Zahid. So let's say Vani. So the username is ZAHID, Zahid. Vani, password is password, and the email ID is zahid@gmail.com, and the phone number is the following. And he is registered on the 1st of June, and the address remains same. So let's go to the browser and see how many values have we been able to insert. 1, 2, 3, 4 values. So now this is how it will work once you design a registration form and register a new user from the front end. The front end can either be a website or a web application that you are entering data from, or it can be any different thing, right? So it can be it's about a console, it can be a mobile app, but yeah, finally and eventually the data goes to the MySql database, right? And now let me take a look at timing. So we still have, we have very less amount of time. So practice this. So we'll be starting inshallah tomorrow from retrieving the data from the database. We have seen how to create a database, how to create a table, how to insert data inside a table, and now we will again see these things will keep on repeating in the concurrent classes. Those who have not learned will try and learn different things in the concurrent classes slowly and steadily, but you need to practice very hard, right? And practice this and be in sync with me. I'm not going to wait, right? You have to complete it today, right? So those who are not aspire to complete the assignment on time and complete the lectures on time are not required. So please do it and completely synchronize from henceforth. Completely synchronize yourself with me so that we can carry on and go on with this course. I wish you all the best. See you tomorrow, same time, with a new MySql program, which is going to be SQL query retrieval, right? So we're going to retrieve data from the database. Till then, bye-bye. Take care. See you.